Long before lines were drawn on maps or buildings clawed into the sky, trees stood as silent witnesses. They reached into the heavens while anchoring deep into the earth. To many, they were simply nature's architecture, but to African civilizations, these towering beings were far more than wood and leaf. They were guardians of secrets, bearers of memory, and bridges between realms. Each tree was not just a symbol of life, but life itself, alive with spirit, with story, with the pulse of ancestors speaking through bark and branch. In Africa, certain trees are not simply admired, they are revered. Their roots tangle with history. Their trunks are inscribed with prayers. Their canopies whisper legends into the wind. The Baobab, with its thick, gnarled frame, is called the Tree of Life, home to spirits and ancestors, a living library of communal wisdom. The Iroko, feared and respected in Yoruba cosmology, is said to house potent spirits who grant blessings or unleash curses. The Mpundu tree of the Luba people stands as a portal between this world and the next, its branches reaching not just into the sky, but into the realm of the dead. These are not just trees, they are sanctuaries, oracles, cosmic maps. But how do these African sacred trees speak to something even broader, even more universal? Across continents, in the mystical traditions of the Kabbalah, we find the Tree of Life, a cosmic diagram that mirrors the human soul and the universe itself. It is a structure of interconnected spheres, each representing a divine attribute, a path between heaven and earth. Could the Baobab's wide, sheltering branches reflect these connections? Could the Iroko's power mirror the Kabbalistic balance of mercy and judgment? Could the Mpundu's bridging nature echo the Sephirot's paths of ascent? These are the questions we'll explore today. What if trees are not just part of the world, but the world itself, a living language that speaks across cultures, continents, and centuries? What if the trees of Africa and the mystical symbols of the Kabbalah are two sides of the same cosmic truth? What if every root, every branch is an invitation to remember what we've lost and to reconnect with the sacred? In the sweeping savannas and dry plains of West and East Africa stands the Baobab, its thick, bulbous trunk twisting skyward like an ancient sentinel. To the untrained eye, it might appear as just an oddity of nature, but to those who carry the stories of the land, the Baobab is a living monument of spirit and history. Its swollen form, with branches that resemble roots reaching toward the heavens, has earned it the nickname the upside-down tree. Yet in African cosmology, it is right side up, a mirror of the world where the earth and sky are connected and where the ancestors reside. The Baobab is not merely a tree, it is a communal memory. In many West African villages, it stands at the heart of the settlement, a meeting place, a courthouse, a shrine. Beneath its vast canopy, elders tell stories of origin, of heroes and tragedies, of gods who once walked the earth. Its bark, so thick and gnarled, is said to record every word spoken in its shade. Some say that if you press your ear to it, you can hear the whispers of the past, the songs of those who have gone before. In East Africa, particularly in Madagascar, the Baobab's hollowed trunks are used to inter the dead, transforming the tree into both a tomb and a temple. Within its walls, the boundary between life and death dissolves, and the spirit world becomes tangible. Rituals surrounding the Baobab are as varied as the regions it graces. In Senegal, offerings of millet and milk are poured at its base to honor the spirits believed to dwell within. In parts of Tanzania, healers harvest the bark and leaves for medicinal purposes, always with prayer, always with gratitude. because the tree's spirit is considered generous, yet deserving of respect. Cutting a baobab without ritual is seen as a grave offense, one that can bring misfortune, drought, or disease. In some traditions, when a child is born, a baobab seed is planted to bind their life to the land and to the ancestors, ensuring a lineage that grows strong and deep. Practically, the baobab is a miracle of adaptation. Its trunk stores thousands of liters of water, sustaining both itself and the communities that depend on it during dry seasons. Its fruit, often called monkey bread, is rich in nutrients and is a vital source of food. Its leaves are used in cooking, its bark for rope and cloth. Yet these uses are not merely utilitarian. They are woven into the spiritual fabric of the people. Consuming the baobab is seen as partaking in its essence, a communion with the life force that has sustained generations. The tree is teacher and provider, healer and historian. Symbolically, the baobab embodies resilience. It thrives in arid, unforgiving landscapes where few others can. It endures droughts, survives fires, and can live for thousands of years. Its longevity and strength make it a metaphor for the human spirit, enduring, adapting, and deeply rooted in the land. In many African proverbs, the baobab is a symbol of wisdom and patience, a reminder that true strength is quiet and that survival is a form of victory. Its towering presence teaches that in a world of constant change, there are things that remain steadfast, if we know where to look. In this way, the baobab is more than a tree. It is a bridge, a monument, a living testament to the interconnectedness of life, death, and spirit. It tells a story of Africa's enduring relationship with nature, where plants are not just resources but relatives, where trees are not just landscape but lineage. And as we stand beneath its branches, listening to the rustle of leaves that sound like prayers, we begin to understand why it has been called the Tree of Life. It is not just alive, it is life itself. In the sacred groves and deep forests of Yoruba land stands the Iroko, a tree whose presence is so powerful that it both commands reverence and inspires fear. To the uninitiated, the Iroko may appear as just another towering figure in the landscape, but to those versed in Yoruba cosmology, it is a spirit of immense consequence. The Iroko is not just a tree. It is a deity, an ancient being said to house a powerful spirit known as the Iroko man. This spirit, both protector and punisher, embodies the raw, unpredictable forces of nature and destiny. The Iroko is believed to watch over the land, its gnarled branches stretching skyward like arms calling down unseen power, its roots twisting deep into the earth, connecting the physical world with the spiritual realm. Stories of the Iroko are woven into the Yoruba oral tradition, passed down through generations as warnings and lessons. It is said that those who cut an Iroko without the proper rites risk invoking madness, misfortune, or even death. There are tales of people who, in greed or ignorance, felled the tree and were haunted by visions, their lives unraveling as the spirit of the Iroko claimed retribution. In some versions, those who dared harm the tree were said to be transformed into spirits themselves, forever bound to the tree they defiled. These stories are not mere superstition, but reflect a deep understanding of balance, respect, and the consequences of violating sacred order. Ritually, the Iroko plays a central role in Yoruba spiritual practice. Offerings of kola nuts, palm oil, and animal sacrifices are made at its base, seeking the favor or forgiveness of the Iroko spirit. It is a place where diviners come to communicate with the unseen, where those seeking answers or blessings approach with humility and ritual precision. Certain Iroko trees are designated as shrines marked by symbols, and protected by taboos that forbid casual approach. The community understands that the tree's power is not just in its physical form, but in the spirit it houses, a force that can mediate between human desire and cosmic law. In Yoruba cosmology, the Iroko represents the axis mundi, the world center, a conduit through which spiritual energy flows between realms. It embodies both the masculine and feminine, the visible and invisible, the known and unknown. It is a symbol of duality, of creation and destruction, of the potential for both blessing and curse. The Iroko's position in the spiritual hierarchy is unique. It is not merely a conduit for Orisha, the pantheon of Yoruba deities, but a being with its own agency and will. The tree itself is seen as a living altar, a site where the boundaries between worlds are thin, where the sacred and profane meet. Its place in daily life is marked by respect and caution. Children are warned never to play beneath its branches at dusk, when spirits are believed to emerge. Farmers work their fields with an eye to the Iroko, knowing that disturbing its roots could bring disaster. Even in urbanized areas where development encroaches upon the old forests, certain Iroko trees are spared, their presence a silent but potent reminder of the enduring spiritual laws that govern the land. The Iroko's reputation is so formidable that it features in proverbs and songs, a symbol of strength, mystery, and the consequences of arrogance. What makes the Iroko particularly fascinating is its duality. It offers shelter and wisdom to those who honor it, but demands respect through fearsome consequences for those who violate its sanctity. In this way, it mirrors the broader Yoruba understanding of power, not as something to be conquered or controlled, but as a force to be harmonized with. The Iroko is both guardian and judge, blessing and curse, life and death. It stands as a towering reminder that in the Yoruba world, the natural is never just natural, it is supernatural, and those who forget this truth do so at their peril. In the heart of Central Africa, among the Luba people of present-day Democratic Republic of Congo, the Mpundu tree stands as more than wood and leaf. To the Luba, this tree is a living bridge, a portal that binds the realms of the living and the dead. It is not simply a tree growing in the landscape. It is a sentinel, a marker where the visible world meets the invisible, where the breathing and the breathless exchange whispers through the rustle of leaves. In the Luba cosmology, the Mpundu tree's very presence shapes the rhythm of life, death, and memory within the community. To approach it is to approach the threshold of eternity. The Mpundu's role as a spiritual gateway is deeply rooted in ancestral belief. The Luba people regard ancestors not as the dead, but as active participants in daily life. They are guardians, advisors, and at times judges, influencing the fortunes and fates of their descendants. The Mpundu tree is believed to serve as a physical location where these ancestors gather, a place where their spirits linger, observing, guiding, and, when necessary, intervening. To stand beneath a Mpundu tree is to be in the presence of the ancestors, to feel the weight of generations watching and waiting. It is said that the tree's roots reach into the underworld, while its branches stretch into the sky, connecting the community to both realms simultaneously. Rituals involving the Mpundu tree are complex and layered, often requiring the presence of a spiritual intermediary such as a diviner or elder. When a family seeks guidance or wishes to honor their ancestors, they gather beneath the tree, offering food, drink, and prayers. Drums echo through the air, and songs are sung to call forth the spirits. Libations of palm wine are poured onto the roots, and the names of ancestors are spoken aloud, as if calling them from the other side. In moments of crisis, whether illness, infertility, or misfortune, the community turns to the Mpundu. A diviner may consult the tree, entering a trance to receive messages from the ancestors, interpreting the rustle of leaves as answers, the creak of branches as warnings. This sacred tree also plays a central role in rites of passage. When a child is born, the family may bring offerings to the Mpundu, asking for the blessing and protection of ancestral spirits. When a person dies, the body is often laid near the tree for a period, allowing the spirit to transition, to be welcomed by those who have gone before. The funeral rites are not merely ceremonies of grief, but are also celebrations of continuity. The Mpundu becomes the stage where life's cyclical nature is enacted, where birth and death are not opposites but part of a continuous spiral. In this way, the tree is both cradle and coffin, beginning and end, a silent witness to the unfolding of human existence. The presence of the Mpundu shapes how the Luba view justice and morality. Wrongdoing is not hidden in the shadows, it is revealed by the ancestors through the tree. If a transgression disrupts the harmony of the community, it is believed that the Mpundu may signal this disturbance. Leaves may fall out of season, animals may avoid the area, or strange sounds may emanate from the branches. When such signs appear, the community gathers, and rituals of reconciliation are performed beneath the tree. Confessions are made, reparations offered, and the ancestors are appeased. The Mpundu, in this sense, serves not only as a spiritual gateway, but also as an arbiter of truth and balance. Practically, the Mpundu tree provides more than spiritual guidance. Its wood is considered sacred and is used only in ceremonial contexts. No part of the tree is taken without ritual acknowledgement and permission from the spirits. In some communities, carving a staff or drum from Mpundu wood imbues the object with spiritual power, linking it directly to the ancestors. These objects are then used in ceremonies, carrying the tree's energy into communal life. Even the leaves are believed to have medicinal properties, but they are harvested with respect, accompanied by prayers and offerings. The Mpundu's symbolic power extends beyond individual communities. It represents the collective memory of the Luba people, a living archive that preserves the stories, values, and spiritual insights of generations. Its towering presence in the landscape serves as a reminder that while people may come and go, the connection between past, present, and future endures. The tree is not static. It breathes with the life of the community, adapting to changing times while holding firm to ancient truths. In the face of colonial disruption and the forced erasure of indigenous traditions, the Mpundu tree has remained a silent but enduring symbol of resilience. While many physical trees have been cut down or neglected, the stories associated with them persist, carried in oral traditions, in secret ceremonies, and in the quiet reverence of those who refuse to forget. The Mpundu, in its sacred function, resists the fragmentation of cultural identity imposed by external forces. It continues to stand as a testament to the unbreakable link between the living and the dead, the seen and the unseen. To stand beneath a Mpundu tree is to feel the pulse of an entire world, a world where trees are not just plants, but portals, where the ancestors are not gone but waiting, and where every leaf and branch speaks a language older than time. The Mpundu is not merely a tree, it is a path, a doorway, a living thread that ties the Luba people to their origins and to the cosmos itself. In its silent strength, it reminds us that we are never truly alone. The past watches, the future listens, and in the rustling of leaves, the ancestors still speak. Throughout history, trees have served as more than symbols of nature. They have been considered cosmic diagrams, living embodiments of the universe's hidden architecture. Across cultures, from the forests of Africa to the mystic teachings of the Kabbalah, Sacred trees stand as mirrors reflecting the vast connections between the seen and unseen, the material and spiritual, the finite and infinite. These trees are not just physical structures, they are cosmic maps, guides that trace the paths of spirit through matter and pathways for human understanding of existence itself. In African traditions, trees like the Baobab, Iroko, and Mpundu are seen as living portals, their roots and branches connecting ancestors, deities, and humanity. They anchor communities not just to land, but to cosmological principles, symbolizing the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. The baobab, with its roots reaching skyward and branches grounding into earth, embodies the inversion of spiritual and material worlds, a symbol of the deep interdependence between life above and below. The Iroko, feared and revered, represents the unpredictable yet essential balance between creation and destruction, blessing and curse. The Mpundu, serving as a gathering place for the spirits, becomes a symbol of the continuity of life and the enduring presence of ancestors. These ideas resonate profoundly with the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, a diagram central to Jewish mysticism that maps the process of creation and the flow of divine energy through 10 interconnected spheres, or sephirot. Each sephira represents a different aspect of divine expression. Compassion, judgment, wisdom, beauty, and the connections between them illustrate the pathways of spiritual growth and transformation. Just as African sacred trees stand as sites of spiritual convergence, the Tree of Life in Kabbalah represents the dynamic interplay between opposites, the merging of masculine and feminine, mercy and severity, the divine and the earthly. The concept of the tree as a cosmic symbol transcends geography and culture. In both African and Kabbalistic thought, trees are not static. They grow, adapt, and reflect the universe's own evolution. They remind us that spiritual wisdom is not a fixed doctrine but a living process, one that must be tended, nurtured, and respected. The baobab's longevity and adaptability parallel the enduring nature of sacred knowledge, while the Iroko's capacity for both protection and punishment mirrors the dual aspects of divine justice found in Kabbalah. The Mpundu's role as a portal mirrors the Tree of Life's function as a map for spiritual ascent, a path from the material world back to the divine source. Even the physical structure of these trees echoes cosmic principles. The branches reach out in all directions, symbolizing the interconnectedness of all things. The roots dig deep, anchoring wisdom in the material world. The trunk stands firm, representing the balance and strength required to bridge opposites. In rituals and ceremonies, these trees become living sanctuaries, spaces where the human and divine meet, where prayers rise like sap, where blessings flow like leaves in the wind. They are not worshipped as objects, but as manifestations of a deeper truth, that the universe is alive, responsive, and participatory. Cross-cultural connections like these reveal a universal human intuition that trees, with their resilience and rootedness, their growth and shedding, encapsulate the journey of the soul. Whether in the mystical teachings of Kabbalah or the oral traditions of Africa, trees serve as guides, their forms whispering secrets of creation, reminding us that we are part of a vast, interconnected web of being. They challenge us to see beyond the surface, to recognize the divine patterns etched into bark, the ancestral voices carried on the wind, and the cosmic rhythms pulsing beneath our feet. In this light, the African sacred trees and the Kabbalistic Tree of Life are not separate systems but expressions of a shared human understanding, that spiritual truth is both rooted and expansive, both individual and collective. They teach us to walk with reverence, to listen with humility, and to remember that beneath the world's complexity lies a simple, enduring truth. Everything is connected, and in that connection, the divine is revealed. Across the African continent, from the highlands of Ethiopia to the forests of Congo and the gold-rich lands of Ghana, sacred trees stand as enduring symbols of spiritual connection, resilience, and memory. They are not simply botanical marvels, they are witnesses to generations of human triumphs and tragedies, healers in times of sickness, and storytellers that preserve the wisdom of the land. In Ethiopia, the sycamore fig, or shola, is venerated not just for its shade, but for its spiritual presence. Communities gather beneath its broad canopy for conflict resolution, blessings, and community meetings. This tree is often seen near ancient churches and monasteries, its roots believed to intertwine with the sacred stones of these structures. Rituals performed under the shola tree involve prayers, chanting, and the pouring of water or coffee as libations. It is said that the spirits of saints, ancestors, and even the Ark of the Covenant once rested beneath its branches, infusing it with an aura of holiness that transcends mere physicality. In the Congo, the ngengele tree, often a species of fig or silk cotton, serves as a portal between the living and the dead, much like the Mpundu tree of the Luba. Villages honor these trees with offerings of food, drink, and palm oil, believing them to be the dwelling places of ancestral spirits and nature deities. Healers, known as ngangas, perform rites under their shade, calling upon the spirits to aid in healing, divination, or to settle disputes. The trees are wrapped in cloth, adorned with beads, or marked with symbols that speak of the community's relationship with the spirit world. Cutting down such a tree is seen not only as an ecological loss, but as a spiritual offense, an act that could bring misfortune or illness to the entire village. In Ghana, particularly among the Akan people, the odum tree, or African teak, holds profound significance. Its towering form is associated with strength, endurance, and wisdom. Sacred groves containing odum trees are protected as places where the physical and spiritual worlds converge. These groves are often forbidden to outsiders and are maintained by traditional priests or priestesses. Within these spaces, rituals of fertility, healing, and initiation take place. The odum tree itself is believed to embody the spirit of the land, its wood used only in the construction of ceremonial drums, stools, and staffs of office. Before any part of the tree is used, elaborate libations and prayers are offered to ensure the permission of the spirit dwelling within. These trees are not merely static witnesses, they are active participants in the communities they shelter. During periods of colonial encroachment and cultural suppression, these sacred trees became silent centers of resistance. While colonial authorities dismissed indigenous spiritual practices as superstition, the trees continued to serve as sites for covert rituals and gatherings. In Ethiopia, the shola trees witnessed the clandestine meetings of resistance fighters, their broad canopies providing cover for planning and prayers. In Congo, the ngengele trees stood as living testimonies to the endurance of ancestral knowledge, despite missionary efforts to erase it. In Ghana, odum groves became refugees for traditional healers and wisdom keepers, spaces where the old ways were kept alive beneath the cover of branches. The stories told about these trees are as layered as the bark that encases them. Among the Akan, tales speak of a great odum tree that stood at the center of a village, its roots so deep and its branches so wide that it was said to connect the heavens and the earth. It was believed that the tree's spirit could grant protection against invaders, its strength flowing into the warriors who fought beneath it. In Congo, elders tell of an ngengele tree that refused to fall despite repeated attempts to cut it down during colonial times, its resilience interpreted as a sign of the ancestors' unbroken will. In Ethiopia, legends speak of a shola tree that wept when a monastery was destroyed, its sap flowing like tears, a symbol of the land mourning its desecration. These trees do not merely symbolize the past, they actively shape the present. Healers still gather leaves and bark for medicinal preparations, always with prayers and offerings. Ritual specialists still consult the trees for guidance, interpreting the sway of branches or the pattern of fallen leaves as messages from the spirit world. In times of drought, communities still gather beneath these trees to pray for rain, recognizing the tree as a mediator between the human and the divine. Their presence in the landscape is a constant reminder that the spiritual and ecological are not separate realms, but intertwined threads of the same fabric. In a world increasingly detached from nature's wisdom, these Pan-African sacred trees stand as silent but eloquent teachers. They remind us that healing is not just a matter of medicine, but of relationship with the land, with each other, and with the unseen. They teach that memory is not locked in books, but lives in the rustle of leaves and the bend of branches. And they call us to slow down, to listen, to honor the quiet spaces where spirit breathes through bark and blossoms. Whether in the bustling markets of Ghana, the quiet monasteries of Ethiopia, or the vibrant villages of Congo, these trees continue to hold space for the sacred, offering shade not just from the sun, but from the forgetfulness that threatens to sever us from our roots. Do trees still speak to us? In a world where skyscrapers tower higher than canopies and concrete covers the soil, it's easy to forget that trees once held voices, secrets, and stories. Modernity has dulled our ears to the rustling of leaves, to the sacred hush beneath branches. We rush through forests, if we visit them at all, without pausing to listen to the silent conversation between root and sky. Yet, beneath the hum of traffic and the glow of screens, the trees are still whispering. They speak of resilience, of balance, of patience. They carry the weight of generations, roots gripping the earth like the hands of ancestors refusing to let go. Our disconnection from trees is more than environmental, it is spiritual. We have not merely cut down forests, we have severed ties to the sacred. The Baobab's wisdom, the Iroko's warning, the Mpundu's invitation to connect with the beyond. All of these voices have been muffled by chainsaws and forgotten rituals, yet the urgency to reconnect has never been greater. In a time of ecological crisis and cultural amnesia, the trees are calling us back, not out of nostalgia, but out of necessity. They remind us that survival is not just about innovation, but about memory, about remembering our place in a living, breathing cosmos. In the whisper of leaves, in the creak of old branches, in the scent of rain on bark, there are messages waiting for those who will listen. They tell us that justice is not just a human concern, but a cosmic one, that healing comes from realignment with the rhythms of nature, that wisdom is rooted not in technology but in humility before the forces that sustain life. The trees do not shout, but they endure. They outlast trends, ideologies, and even civilizations, and in their quiet strength lies a challenge: to slow down, to pay attention, to return to the sacred conversations we abandoned. For in those conversations lies the hope of not just saving the trees, but of saving ourselves. The trees are not just trees. They are cosmic beings, living bridges between worlds, their roots entwined with the soil of memory, their branches reaching into the sky of spirit. Across Africa, from the Baobab to the Iroko to the Mpundu, trees have stood as silent witnesses to history, as sanctuaries for prayer, as channels for divine presence. They remind us that the natural world is not separate from the spiritual, but is a living manifestation of it. Each leaf, each branch, each whisper of wind through the canopy speaks of connection, of balance, of the great cosmic dance between life and death, between earth and sky. In their presence, we are reminded that we too are part of this dance, that our stories, our struggles, our hopes are rooted in something far older and far wiser than we can imagine. So I offer you a blessing. May you find your sacred tree. May you discover that place where your spirit meets the earth, where you can hear the ancestors speaking through leaves and feel the pulse of creation in the bark beneath your hand. May you learn to listen, to pause, to honor the quiet wisdom of the natural world. May you remember that the divine is not only in distant heavens, but also in the shade of a tree, in the rustle of its branches, in the silence it offers amid the noise of life. May your roots grow deep, and may your spirit reach high. As you leave this space, do not leave the story behind. Carry it with you. Carry it in your bones, in your breath, in your conversations. Share this video not just as content, but as an offering, as a seed planted in the digital soil of human consciousness. Subscribe not to follow, but to join a movement of remembrance. Like this video not for algorithmic approval, but as a gesture of respect to the ancestors and spirits who continue to speak through the trees. Leave a comment not for numbers, but as a prayer, a reflection, a promise to listen more deeply. Thank you for walking this journey with me, for standing beneath these sacred canopies, for remembering that we are never alone. The trees are speaking. Will you listen?